Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Yes, Medvedev told Romania to fuck off. Why? Because Romania asked for some gold back that they claim it needs to be returned, some artifacts, cultural artifacts sent by the Romanian government during the First World War to the Tsar, to Moscow, where it will still have the Tsar in place. And they did this because the Austria-Hungary was coming closer to destroy the Romanian state. The Romanians transferred it over there for safekeeping, and the beautiful communists, Trotsky, not the Russian, and the Lenin, not the Russian, when they took over with the help of the same guys, the Germans, and not only from the guys from New York, if you remember those financiers, they said, well, no gold for you, because we're communists and you are capitalists. So since then, the Romanians had the gold over there until after the Second World War, when the Romanians again asked for the gold, and the Soviets dealt with the Romanians then, and they said, we washed our hands, both of us, and that's good. Since I was a child, I've been hearing these kind of things. If the Russians, not the Soviets, if the Russians will give our gold back, then we will be rich. And I thought, okay. But then I started reading. And when I started reading, I realized that, well, there are some details that made me say, wait a second, just a second. Maybe that's not so. What am I talking about? Now I know that this video will be watched by Romanians with a lot of pathos, angry and so on. Let's start from the very beginning. If that gold there is, let's say, in Moscow right now, would come to Romania and will improve the livelihood of the Romanian people, as an subjective individual with love for Romania, I would say, yes, the Russians, give the fucking money back, give the gold back. Okay, I will demand that. Now, if I would be like that, I will try to speak slowly when I make my point. The problem is this: it seems like if the Russians will send the bill to the Romanians, let's say the Russians will give back the gold that they didn't give back, and then the Russians will ask the Romanians to give the money to the Soviet Union / Russia, the reparations after the Second World War, then the Romanians will owe the Russians a lot of money. So let's say the Russians give them 4 billion and the Romanians have to give them, 20 billion. Will you still want to do that deal? Or make the deal? Hold your horses. You will say, hey, just a second. When do we owe that? Well, that's the problem. Reading is a bitch. All right? So I'm not with the Russians, I'm with the Romanians. But, I love truth more than that. So what do we have here? We have Russia today. And if you remember, the Romanians went to ask the European Union somehow to put pressure on the Russians to return something that the Russians said we already returned and actually you owe us. As a Romanian, you might say, what are you talking about? Well, let's read this article. And I also made a video more than 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago, regarding the same issue. I did it in Romanian, so I will show you. This is the video that I made, and I'm pretty much certain that the Romanians will hate that video. But again, just listen to it. This is Tezaurul României de la Moscova. Right, so it's Romanian gold from Moscow, let's put it so. And I said, Romanians, forget about the Tezaur. You will have no advantage if that would be returned to Romania. Maybe a little moral satisfaction, an illusion of a short time, which will be turn you into hopelessness and resentment. So I made this video On February 18th, 2022, it was one of the first videos I made actually, so it's in Romanian. So, you may disagree, but there's some evidence over there that maybe will help you understand what's going on with the Tezaur. That, from the Russian perspective, the Soviet, then Russian perspective, the issue is gone, done, finished. Nevertheless, what do we have now? We have this, Russia Today, 15th of March 2024. EU can fuck off, basically, Romanians and the EU, with its gold demand. Ex-Russian president. The European Parliament has adopted a resolution calling on Moscow to return gold sent to the Russian Empire by Romania in 1916. They woke up now? Why now? Well, you know. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev has vehemently rejected the EU's demand that Moscow return gold that it claims belongs to Romania, describing it as an impudence. On Thursday, the European Parliament adopted a resolution calling on Moscow to send back 91.5 metric tons of gold and cultural artifacts that were exported to the Russian Empire in 1916 and 1917 by Romania. That's a fact. Writing on a social media page on Friday, Medvedev, who currently serves as the deputy chairman of the Russian National Security Council, stated that, and I'm quoting, "I don't even know how to respond to this impudence." End quote. And I'm quoting again, the EU has stolen $300 billion worth of Russian assets, not transferred, and is now demanding that Russia return gold to Romania. There is nothing to say except fuck off. End quote, Medvedev said. Previously, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman, great Maria Zakharova, smart, had pointed out that in 1935, the USSR had already returned a portion of the valuables to Romania as a quote-unquote sign of goodwill. And I think it happened again in 1960-some. She also recalled that the Soviet Union had forgiven Romania of all its debts for the, and I'm quoting, troubles and destruction that it caused in Russia during World War II when Bucharest was an ally of Nazi Germany. Remember? And I'm quoting here, and that was, and I'm quoting, despite all the atrocities that Hitler's Romanian allies committed on our land. And this is no less than $300 million in reparations. If converted to today's money, it would be something in the region of 4 billion, Zakharova wrote. So, that is, the Soviets forgave Romania of about $300 million. Those money, whatever. How they calculated, we know how they did. And he says if we just convert it to the current money, that would be $4 billion. All right, well, let's see. So that would be money that the Russians will tell the Romanians to pay. And let's see how much the gold would cost, right? The Romanian ask through the European Union, the Russians. The spokeswoman went on to state that if these Romanian debts to Russia and Soviet Union were expressed in terms of bullion, this is gold, they would be equivalent to 1,365 to 1,665 tons of gold, which is, my fellow Romanians, 20 to 25 times more than Romania's entire gold reserve that was sent to Russia in 1916 to 1917. Hold your horses, my Romanian friends. I know what you're going to say. Well, you know the Soviets, they exaggerated those 300 million. You know that. Well, what will you do? What can you do about it? That's their calculation. Actually, it was not Soviet Union attacking Romania. It was actually Romanian. Români vor don treceți prutul. After all, with the Nazis. So, however you take it, you know what I mean? Yeah, but they took the Soviets, right? Stalin took Basarabia and Bukovina, so we had to intervene. Where are they now? Why don't you intervene now? They're in Ukraine and that fake state called Moldova. Yeah, it's exactly, zip it. Now, if that money, this is my thing, if that money would come, and that's the exact point I made in the other video, if that money would come to the Romanian people, and we help the economy, we help the Romanians, I'm all for it. Man, get that money. But it's not. That Tezaur will not even enter Romania. Before it enters, it will be distributed to the same gang that is in charge of your country. That's what bothers me. And besides, why don't we do it through our own powers, strength, intelligence? And it seems like this is what I hated when I left Romania, by the way. It's like it's a certain portion of the Romanians who always ask for a handout. Help us, Europa, Europa, come and help me. Give me something. Why is that? Give me something. I hate this kind of slavish attitude of, help us, give us, you owe me. No, why don't you say, no, you don't freaking owe me anything, I don't owe you anything, let's do it through our own strength. That's Romania I want, but hey, I'm not there. Why? Well, I meet this kind of people who are, you owe me, they owe it. If Europa would come and help me, why do you need to be helped? Are you a toddler? Anyway, let's move back to this article. Zakharova claimed that Romania was now using Russophobic platforms, and I'm quoting, such as the European Parliament, which is ready for any excuse to force onto us its century-old phantom debts. She suggested that Bucharest's demand may be part of the desperate attempt to fix, and I'm quoting, the deplorable situation, end quote, in Romania's, and I'm quoting again, national economy against the backdrop of farm strikes throughout the country. Well, I don't know. Let's put it this way. In that video that I made, I gave you what the Russians said and what it was agreed between the governments of Romania and the government of the Soviet Union. I think in the 60s and then in the 30s, a goodwill from the Soviet government owned by non-Russians. Trotsky was Jewish, among others, and then you had Stalin, it was a Gruzin, and then by that time Lenin was long gone. I'm not going to talk about Kaganovich, who was another non-Russian, and Yagoda, another non-Russian. Okay, so hold your horses, point your fingers to someone else. You wouldn't fucking dare. Why? Because you're a coward. Well, that's the way it is. And I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people who try to turn it into Russia. I don't care if Russia gives Romania, as I said, not 95 tons or whatever, gives them, 3,000. I don't care, man, give them. The Romanians will not see shit. Okay? Now, this is it, my friends. Again, the Romanians feel to ask for that Tezaur, that as a child and how do I put it, not young adult, that by that time I already knew, teenager, I thought that Tezaur will change our lives. And those evil, improper said Russians, the Soviets, hold it from us. With that, we can have, milk and honey floating down our streets and we'll be great like, Switzerland or something. That's a lie. So go to work, get rid of your masters, Brussels and others, and do it through your own forces. All right? And don't attack me. You can call me however you want, but just think about it. Just think about it. That money that you want to get back will not help you this much. I think it's just another way those guys are using the Romanians against the Russians. That's what I think. All right, my friends, here it is. So Medvedev said he's told the European Union, but the European Union did not just wake up and say, hey, how about the Romanian gold? Man, we've been thinking about it for the past 30 years, how to ask the Russians that. Remember, Russia became what? 1991, 1992, 1993 became, okay, we're Russia. Why only now? What a coincidence. My friends, you are being used. All right. And with that, as I said, I hope they give you the money and you're not going to see one leu out of it. One leu. I guarantee you that. There's going to be dispersed by those gangs over there. There's going to come probably in the Romanian, how do you call it, vault, the Romanian state vault, and you're never going to hear from it. You're not going to see any changes. Any. I guarantee you that. Now, from a moral perspective, well, maybe, 20 to 25 times more Romania's entire gold reserve, it was sent to Russia. I don't know. What do you think? I think that we should do it through our own forces, our own abilities and skills, and stop trying to be beggars at other people's doors and asking for something when we have a rich country with people who are geniuses that have intelligence, that have the ability to look at things in different ways. But hey, hardworking people, organized, disciplines, some of them are just losers as everywhere else. The problem is, you see, in this country here, for instance, the United States of America, things are obviously not perfect. There's corruption, there are weasels, there are idiots in charge of good people, but at least you can make it very, very, very well, very good, without having to be a, I don't know, modern slave. Over there, it seems like you have to be use humility all the time towards other people, other countries. You can say, well, Romania is a small country. So are others. So are others. All right. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.